Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, we are back with another edition of the Passionate Precision podcast as I do bring in co host Jori, and we have another great episode ahead for you. This is, you already know what the show's about. We definitely give you our honest opinion. You might get a rant or two out of Jori. We have a couple of segments we're going to kind of debut this week, so hopefully you enjoy that. Um, So before we even get into all that, Jory, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Had a pretty good day. Ready to talk some sports.
Okay, that's what's up. And like I said, we're going to talk about some NBA and NFL. We're going to look at a couple. We'll look at some coaches who might be looking over their shoulder in terms of their job. There's a star receiver that. Oh, there's a star receiver that potentially on the trading block. Hold on, I feel like I'm hearing something now. All right, I think I got rid of it. Yeah, cause I don't know if you guys could hear that at home, but there was something playing in the background, but it's gone now. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about a star wide receiver who's on the block, uh, trying to figure out where we think he might end up. And like I said, two new segments, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So let's go ahead and get started with our NBA. Okay, new view here. So the Knicks and the Wolves made a trade. As you can see, Karl Anthony Towns is now in New York. Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, now in Minnesota. So my initial question to you, Jory, is just looking at the trade, who do you think got the better of the deal?
Man, I really don't like the people I live around sometimes. I'm glad that I had a mute button because if I didn't, I would have been a little irritated. Um, Looking on the side of Minnesota, oh, I don't know, Pat. I'm like, you pretty much traded one of your best supporting players for Dante DiVincenzo and Velcro Handle Randall. So, and it's not just what it does for Ant. It's more for what it does for the team makeup as well, the
Mm-hmm.
as a whole. Excuse me. Um, I'm kind of concerned about that because he's a major part of piece of that team to what they had going on. So I don't know how they're gonna be able to replace him or suffice for him. But yeah, at for Minnesota, there's questions because Carl Anthony Towns, you should have got more than Jonte DiVincenzo. Should have been more. But that's neither here or there. For the Knicks, it looks good on paper. I question the fit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very unsure about how it's gonna look. Yeah, Carl can somewhat create his own shot, but at the same time, how well will he fit and merge in with that Knicks core? Who's also some more pieces too. With Carl Anthony Towns, I know where he is, and now he's consistently going up against the likes of a Joel Embiid and a Giannis and company, and the Celtics more consistently. We'll be able to gauge him a little bit better because there's more people that can give him some troubles in the East. I mean, it's a solid move, but I question whether or not it's enough.
Okay, and I think it's a valid question. I know for me looking at this trade, I guess for the Knicks, they see a guy in Karl Anthony Towns who can stretch the floor, and at times I feel like the Knicks struggled with perimeter shooting. For Minnesota, they shaved some money. Randall's like I think 20 million cheaper than Karl Anthony Towns. I guess they can utilize that money, and I don't know what they'll do with it, but they have it. That might be the biggest part of this to see what a final grade would be on the trade is like, what does Minnesota do with those savings? I'm not the biggest Karl Anthony Towns guy. I do think he has some physicality issues. I do think the East is a bit more physical at the big man spot than maybe the West is. So I'm interested to see, like you said, what does he do against Joel Embiid? I mean, what does he do against? I mean, Miles Turner, kind of the same thing, but it'll just be interesting to see how he does against, guys who are more physical, and even some guys like Miles Turner who stretch the floor as well. Because Karl Anthony Towns on defense can get lost a bit. You can pick on him and pick and roll sometimes. Not saying he's like a terrible defender, but that would be my thing because New York is built on their defense. Thibodeau loves defenders. We also know Thibodeau likes to run his guys into the ground. So we'll see how Cat can deal in that situation. I mean, Randall, as long as he doesn't take away shots from Ant and moves the ball around, doesn't have it just stick to him, I think he'll be fine. I think the DiVincenzo loss for the Knicks is a big one, almost like with Hartenstein, because those two kind of did things that I don't know if they've replaced what they do. I mean, it does put more of a spotlight on Miles McBride because he now has to fill in as that six-man role. He's got to come in. He's got to be more consistent. Whereas last season, he'd have one really good game that he might go the next 3 or 4 where he struggles and doesn't produce. He can't really afford to do that anymore with this move. So I would say, because Karl Anthony Towns is probably the better player in the trade, I would say the Knicks probably won the trade, but I don't think it's like overwhelming in that aspect in any way. What's going on, John? I got to look at how many games Randall sat out with injuries versus Cat. At least Cat don't disappear in the playoffs.
Cat has his moments. Cat he definitely has his boneheaded moments where he just don't show up at times. He has his moments.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with what you're saying is the Knicks won the trade, but I'm looking at Minnesota like, what the heck are you doing?
I mean, I guess this is the Gobert, Cat that I think a lot of us wondered how far they could actually go with those two. I guess Minnesota's kind of saying that they would rather have Gobert move Cat and try to bring somebody else in. Because Gobert, you know what he is. He's a rim protector. That's his main job. And Minnesota definitely values that. I guess they saw Cat as expendable and they saw Randall as a lesser talent, but because of the money difference, a better fit. Now, whether or not they're right, we'll see once the season starts. But I mean, I guess I see the logic there. I'm just not big on Randall either. I don't see the obsession with Randall, but Minnesota.
Like you pretty much took away your Batman's Robin for Devante DiVincenzo and a bag of chips, coming off a shoulder injury.
I mean, I see why they want DiVincenzo. You can never have too many.
That part I get.
Yeah.
Randall, I don't get.
Well, any deal that the Knicks are going to make, Randall is going to be involved in it. The Knicks can't get out of Randall's contract fast enough. I mean, he had that one good year when he was looking for the deal, then he got the deal and kind of regressed back to the guy he was with the Lakers, which is kind of why the Lakers moved on from him. So, I don't know. We'll see. Interesting. And the season's only 2.5 weeks away. So soon we'll see these two teams when the games matter and how these players actually look in their new uniform. Let's go ahead.
Oh,
Move
Carl's
on.
gonna have to deal with Paul George now. He's not escaping Paul George.
Yeah. John said, oops, there we go. Nick's still thinking about Mitchell Robinson trading him for another. I mean, Mitchell Robinson's a good talent. Problem is, he's never around when you need him, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we'll talk about in the weeks to come as we move to the NFL with their coaches in the hot seat. These are just three names I put up there because I feel like these are the three we'll be hearing about all season. You got Doug Peterson with a Jags team that, sitting in the basement of the AFC South, looking like a mess. You have Sirianni, who there was questions about him last season. He survived. They started off slow this year, real up and down, inconsistent play. His name's going to be out there. Plus, it's the Philly market. Philly is not the most patient, like a lot of northeast cities. And you have Robert Saleh, who's up there in New York. There's a lot of pressure when you bring in Aaron Rodgers. You're on borrowed time. So if he can't get it done, he's going to be held accountable. We know they're not going to move on from Aaron Rodgers unless Aaron Rodgers forces himself out. So I guess looking at these three, whose seat is the hottest?
I don't think the Eagles are gonna fire Sirianni until after the season, but I know he's gone. Your quarterback,
So you
if
think
your
no?
quarterback comes out and says we have our issues, you're gone.
I mean, what do
That
you think it would
when
take for him to stay? You think like nothing short of a Super Bowl or
exactly.
NFC title game? This name's
I'm like,
interesting.
yeah, because that Cincinnati defense isn't very good, and he's looking like he's struggling without his coordinators. But
Yeah.
not really, not really. Can't say that because the offense is starting to click, but it does look different. But back to Mr. Sirianni, he's not going to get fired until after the season. I don't
Mhm.
think Philly's going to make the playoffs,
Okay.
but I feel like the division is going to come down. The only team I can really count out of it is the Giants and maybe
Okay.
Dallas because their defense just stinks. And now that you have those two injuries, it's going to even stink even worse. So, I mean, even more. Excuse me. But with Sirianni, he's gone after the season. Him and Jalen Hurts are not necessarily getting along. We have issues being said publicly says a lot.
Mhm.
And the way that he said it, the look on his face when he said it said, "Don't ask me about this man. If you ask me about him one more time, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about it. I'm done with it." So that relationship is fractured. And usually when that relationship is fractured, it's time for the organization to make a decision. And you already used the blame the coordinator's excuse last year. So you're not going to get that same excuse this year. Especially when we've seen little flashes of what this offense could be consistently. So I'm like, the thing with Sirianni is he's very immature as a head coach. Like, you haven't learned to grow the hell up yet. That's what's going to get him fired. His lack of leadership skills. They have a whole leadership void going on in Philly.
Mhm.
And when you have your players coming out saying that the coaches aren't saying a word after they gave a game away versus Atlanta because it was quiet because they know they sold that game and they had it, the coaches aren't saying anything. If I'm a coach, I'm gonna break the silence. Y'all don't hear me, especially if all of this would have been um prevented had somebody had just did something as simple as catch the ball, and then the whole conservative defense when they got the ball back was trash that they called.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches should have spoken for themselves. It wasn't just the players' fault. Player led team. We have our moments. There's no
Right.
leadership in Philadelphia, and that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so John has. I think some of those main star players are injured. Lane Johnson, MVP for the team. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Devin White, Bradbury. I mean, Bradbury had a terrible year last year, but
Bradbury
interested.
is trash anyway. It shouldn't be falling apart at the seams like this, though.
Yeah.
I've seen teams that have had plenty of injuries. Believe me, I've seen teams that have had plenty of injuries. Why did Mike Vrabel win Coach of the Year? That was the year we went through 81 different players
Mm,
because of injuries. A good coach with good leadership, you don't have that type of fracturing that visible like that.
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean,
I, I just think it's an issue, and they're gonna have to
mhm.
fix it. And if the only way I see him getting fired mid-season if Philly continues to lose the way that they lost to the Bucks.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you just see them getting pushed around, looking disinterested, yeah, that absolutely reflects on coaching, preparedness, all that. So yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, look, these three. I mean, there's a good chance that all three of them are gone before next season, or don't make it back next season. I think there's a lot of noise behind Sirianni. You know, the whole Belichick stuff and everything like that. I think Peterson, because they have a couple of games in London, he's most likely to go first because I could see what the first one is against the Patriots. Let's say they go against the Patriots, they lose that one, and the Patriots are seen on the grand scheme of things as the team like right now dysfunctional, not that good offensively. If they go against the Jags and beat them, I feel like that would be an indictment on Peterson. He'd be gone then. If he survives that one, I think they have like another London game, like a couple of weeks. Like I feel like that'll be the Jags' opportunity to let him go. Salah is more along the lines of Aaron Rodgers. You'll see Aaron Rodgers' demeanor will dictate how safe Salah is. And it's probably as long as he keeps winning, Aaron Rodgers will look like the happiest Jet of all time. He'll look like the greatest teammate. More games like against Denver, we saw Aaron Rodgers' body language against Denver. He looked over it. He looked like classic Aaron Rodgers. A couple more weeks like that, Salah will be gone. I feel like Sirianni gets through the whole year, unless it's like some type of mutiny and we start hearing more and more players like slick disrespecting him on social media and press conferences, stuff like that. Then I think you can acknowledge that. So I will say Peterson, Salah, then Sirianni would probably be how I'd rank the three.
I will say
And I
Salah
know John
should
brought up Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor's okay. That's more of a defense issue. I can see the defensive coordinator losing that job before Zach Taylor.
mhm.
Although the slow starts in Cincinnati has to be addressed. John said, "What about Kevin Stefanski? We knew the Browns weren't going to be a superstar team, but damn, is he even trying to turn the team around? They look worse." that question has to be: is it Stefanski or homeboy wearing number 4 at the QB position? Where do you put more of the blame?
In that situation, you know exactly who I'm blaming.
Right.
The
I
one
think
that's not
Stefanski gets a
playing
bit of a
well.
pass. Yeah. This is a quarterback-driven league, and that dude right now is not playing well. I can't blame Stefanski for that. Hey, what's going on, Con Man? Anthony says the same things. Why is Cincinnati's head coach not on here?
Now, if they continue to start slow, and this slow start kind of continues, like if they start losing like 5 or 6 games, okay, I can see why people would start to look at Zach Taylor a little different.
Yeah.
But think about it. Before we start firing coaches, I start firing coaches in my head. I either have to see the team quit on them, or all other avenues have to be addressed. They have a new OC. They lost there. They lost that. They lost a few pieces defensively. So I'm like, I'll give them a little bit of grace until week 8, but then I will start looking at Cincinnati more close, even though I'm really not concerned
Okay.
about it. But as far as Salah is concerned, there isn't much that he does particularly too well other than get the defense ready consistently. Even with that, they're not consistently playing disciplined football. They will cost a team a game. However, he's the head coach. He's not a defensive coordinator. His responsibility, he's held accountable for the entire team. So
Yeah.
when your quarterback is out there looking like I am so over this crap, and then he says what he says in the press conference, making you look like a fool, like you don't know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're getting into with Aaron Rodgers. You you don't really control the locker room as it is before he even got there. That was a question prior to that, because it's times where we've seen that team arguing on the sidelines, playing out of control, undisciplined or whatnot, where they just don't look like an, a functional franchise. So with him, now his job is dependent on a moody, manipulative quarterback who knows what he's doing. He knows his words can get that man fired at the drop of a dime in his attitude. You don't think Aaron Rodgers knows that? That's why he starts saying the things that he says. He's letting him know, not so subtly, I'm not having this crap. Get it together.
All right.
So Salah,
Yeah.
if Aaron continues to be grumpy, Salah won't make the season.
Yeah.
As far
I
as
definitely agree.
Jacksonville is concerned, they just look like they don't have any direction. Trevor Lawrence looks like he does not look like a number 1 pick. And it's time to stop blaming the receivers for it. His decision making is questionable. And we've been saying that for a whole season. Well, since he got hurt. And I'm tired
Mm-hmm.
of the injury excuse. Like, I've never been sold on Trevor Lawrence. I think he peaked
Yes.
in college.
Hard not to
So
say that
now,
now.
yeah, me and a few people that I know think he peaked in college. And he wasn't going to amount to nothing. Look,
Mhm.
and Peterson, he does not do well with getting this team ready to play, considering the fact that
Mhm.
they're 0-4. And they look good for stretches in the game, but they do things that continuously just beat themselves up. They beat themselves. Like they
Mhm.
had an opportunity versus the Texans to go up 2 scores. Now the Texans, they on life support with me because I'm not impressed by what I see with the Texans. I'm not impressed.
Mhm.
But you could have went up 2 scores and then you ended up losing that game by 3.
Yeah.
They're
I,
undisciplined. They don't have any defense. The offense sputters and they barely have any life. Trevor Lawrence makes questionable decisions. It's not just the receiver's fault, even though the receivers are dropping passes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just going to sit here and blame the receivers. And I bet the Jaguars they miss Ridley. I bet they do now. Because where is Christian Kirk? Where is Evan Ingram? Where is the offensive line?
I think that's valid. The Jacksonville has a lot of problems right now. I mean, obviously, out of the three, they seem like the most hopeless situation. Uh, I did want to go back to John's point here. He says basically that Stefanski should bench Watson and put Winston in.
The ownership is not going to allow that to happen.
Probably not, but players within that locker room could probably dictate it. Because, I mean, I don't know Cleveland's locker room like that. I don't know if maybe Watson still has supporters or whatever. But if they continue to lose, and we know Jameis Winston's one of those rah-rah guys, he may slowly start pulling guys to his side. And there may be some talk within the locker room amongst the leaders about making a change that Stefanski may have to listen to. Because let's just say, as John put, what about Stefanski? If Stefanski's job is on the line, I don't care what ownership decided to give Watson. I'm not playing him if I'm trying to keep my job. And if Winston can go in there and give you a spark and get you some wins, then why keep putting Watson out there just for people to say, oh yeah, remember that big contract you gave him? Big mistake. And Stefanski probably hears that as well. So yeah, I wouldn't risk my job on Watson just because of the price tag that comes along with him. If Winston gives me a better chance to win, I put him out there this weekend. If Watson starts off slow, I'm not going to sit there and put my hand on my head and go, oh, I hope he turns it around. It's been almost 3 seasons now. Maybe he just doesn't have it anymore, and they need to realize that.
I mean, they have the perfect out, if we're being completely honest. They do have the perfect out. And it has something to do with that lawsuit. If that's credible and they can find some type of loophole with that contract, they could bench him. Yeah. Now, if they bench him, that'll tell me a lot. Because we saw what Denver did with Russell Wilson. They took that cap hit just to get rid of Russ.
Yeah.
If it's that bad with Watson, if Cleveland really believes that it's that bad with Watson, which I believe is that bad, I believe he's just washed and he's cooked. And I don't even think he's worth having a career in the NFL, personal taste. But that's neither here nor there. They saw Denver take that cap hit. Go ahead and take the cap hit. Bench him. But then you got the blind leading the blind because Jameis Winston can't see. He cannot see very well, even after LASIK. We know this.
I mean, he better go old school and get the Horace Grant goggles and put them on and play with them, because this might be
Browns also can't run the ball. They're missing
him.
2 tackles.
That's true.
They can't run the ball. They're missing tackles. So I'm like, the Browns as a whole, that offensive unit is a mess. But it's also being led by a hot mess in number 4.
Yeah. Con man, what's going on? Your guest is no joke. She's on point. I mean, she's actually the co-host of the show. But I see what you're saying. Jori definitely brings it every week. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. NFL teams, some of them can be very antsy and jump on them, jump on these decisions really quickly. Some organizations decide to wait for a while and, I don't know, kind of sink themselves for years. So we'll see what these 3 situations. We'll definitely pick back up on this a couple of weeks down the line, because like I said, couple of weeks, the Jags
Eberflus
play in
too.
London. Would not be surprised if they move on from Eberflus. Yes, he should have been on here because they bring in Caleb Williams a lot of times, especially with the Bears. That first season is usually the old head coach's last year with that quarterback. So unless they make a playoff run, yeah, I think Eberflus will probably be gone for sure.
They haven't won a
Move
game
on.
since.
Yeah,
I'm
I
tripping.
mean this.
They haven't won a game since. They had to just win against my team. They just had to blow that one. Will had to do some dumb stuff. My
Yes,
lord.
that.
It
Look,
traumatizing.
every so often somebody gets lucky. Caleb Williams got lucky that day, I guess we'll say. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see by the end of the year who's in a better situation. All right, so Devante Adams. I said at the top, there's a star wide receiver that looks like he's on his way out. Devante Adams the Raiders have basically said they are listening to offers for Devante Adams. Green Bay, he was Aaron Rodgers' favorite wide receiver. He got to Oakland, where he was playing with his buddy Derek Carr. They moved Derek Carr. So now I guess, Devante Adams is the next one to go. I feel like the only question we need to ask here is where does he need to go? And by saying that, where do you think would be the best fit for Devante Adams?
If Salah knew what is gonna save his job, he'd tell Joe whatever his name in the GM, forget Reddick, trade him to the Raiders, and go get me Devonte Adams, because that's gonna save my butt and yours. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
I heard he posted Edgar Allan Poe on his Instagram story. Devontae, the last place you want to go right now is Baltimore. That's the absolute last place you want to go. And I will throw up internally if that happens. Because that's not gonna happen. And you won't be happy very long there.
I mean, I know that I know that Baltimore, I guess with Derrick Henry, maybe he wants to go there. It seems like people want to play for Lamar Jackson. I agree with you. I don't see him going there. I don't see the point of it. Unless you want to just be a blocker on the outside and catch the occasional slant, sure, knock yourself out. I feel like there's plenty of other opportunities I've mentioned before. I feel like Buffalo would be a good place for him. Buffalo needs a real number one. Devontae Adams with Josh Allen could be a really good connection. I honestly think if he went back to Green Bay now, he would be in a really good position. Christian Watson hurt again. That's kind of been the story of his young career. I mean, Romeo Doubs is missing a game for like conduct detrimental to the team. Jordan Love has shown he's a really good young quarterback in this league. So if I'm Devontae Adams, that wouldn't be a bad place to go. Obviously, people will say Kansas City. They just lost Rashee Rice. They have Xavier Worthy. They could use a wide receiver like Devontae Adams. I mean, yes, I see the fit there. And then the obvious one, the Cowboys. Cowboys have money, didn't spend any in the offseason. What are they holding it for? I guess if he wants to do that to himself, sure. But I mean, look,
Devontae got too much sense.
Jerry loves making news. If he went and got Devontae Adams midseason, that would make a lot of news. Conman says the Jets as well. I mean, the connection is there. It's gonna be, do the Jets, I guess, pony up whatever the Raiders want, and how aggressive some of these other teams get in the negotiations. Because if it turns out to be just the Jets, bidding against themselves, then yeah, he'll end up there eventually. And maybe Hassan Reddick gets used somehow to make it work, because since the offseason, that name is like non-existent in New York right now.
Yeah, and Devante wants a quarterback that he knows. He said that. So that of course the Saints is gonna come up, the Jets are gonna come up, um, things like that. People, Ravens fans getting all of their feathers excited. Oh, Devontae posted Edgar Allan Poe, so that means he wants to come to Baltimore. I'm like, did you stretch before that reached? Did you stretch?
I mean, we
Like,
know
did you
they
warm up
grasped
before
at
that?
every little straw they can. So we already knew that was going to happen.
They think they have a chance. I'm like, dealing with your offense is, and the fact that you already have Zay Flowers on the sideline saying, "Can I please get the ball?" If
Hmm.
I was Derek, I'm looking at this man like, "If you don't get the hell out my face, I'm the reason why you winning." Talking about you
I
want
mean,
to catch the
if
ball.
I'm the Ravens,
Pop.
if I could get Zay Flowers for Devonte Adams, now you might be talking about something.
But
And
if
why?
Zay Flowers ain't happy, you know Devontae ain't gonna be happy very long. He's already showing signs of being a malcontent,
Yeah, but at
and
least
that's what happens
yeah.
when you have Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. Ravens fans don't like to admit that.
Uh, John throws out another team. Uh, Say like to see him at the Steelers, but I think he wants a veteran quarterback throwing to him. Like to see him on the Saints with Carr, but don't think they can afford him. The Saints are still in cap hell. You can forget about that one. A
Hmm.
team that needs them, that needs help and has a decent quarterback, the Rams. The Rams are dealing with Cooper Cup, who's been a little banged up, and Puka Nakua is still out. I think it's a couple of weeks. Conman said, "Love the show, appreciate that. Keep doing the damn thing, sharing this. I appreciate that, Conman, really do." Okay, well we'll see. We'll see where Devontae Adams ends up. I mean, hopefully it doesn't drag out too long. I'm sure for the Raiders, they would love to move on from it. I'm sure Antonio Pierce would love to move on from it and kind of continue the rebuild that's going on out in Vegas. But let's keep it moving with for real or fool's gold. So with this, I'm going to bring up. I mean, we're not going to go through every team. Obviously, we'll bring up a couple of teams that we feel like the start that might be surprising. They're for real, and maybe a couple of teams who have started off really well. We feel are fool's gold, and we'll kind of revert back to, I guess, to use a Cinderella reference, the pumpkin. So I guess who's a team that you think is legit for real right now?
If they can get there,
I could throw some
well,
teams out at
they've
you, and
shown
you
it.
let me know which one you think
Yeah,
they fit in.
I have a couple.
How about
Um, if they can get their defense together, I feel like the Lions are always going to be legit. But they've shown it this past game. They've shown that they're here.
mhm.
I have a few questions about Kansas City. Like, why isn't the offense clicking yet? We are in week 5. Buffalo's defense, they give me more of the heebie-jeebies than the Lions defense do. At least the Lions defense can tackle when it comes to stopping the run.
Mhm. Oh, okay. I guess Jori got disconnected there. All right, so while she's coming back in, uh, I guess I'll run through some of you guys' comments here. The Bills, I think the Bills are. Here's the tough part. Before the season, I thought the Bills were going to miss the playoffs. After the first 3 weeks, I was ready to crown them as the best team in the division. The Baltimore game happened. Now I'm kind of back to I don't know what to think about them, but I'm going to say they're for real. I think this is a new and improved Josh Allen. So I will give them that credit and think that they are for real right now. I think the Lions are for real. I love what Dan Campbell's done with them. I think that I love the physicality that they play with at times. I do question Jared Goff a little bit, but I think he's good enough to get them to a Super Bowl. I still, I don't know. I feel like if they had a more dynamic quarterback, they might be better off. Maybe Hendon Hooker in a year or so takes over. Maybe they look a little different. But I mean, you can make the argument they're one of the more consistent teams in the NFC. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Yes, Jori's trying to get back in just to give you guys an update. So Lions, I'll say for real. Vikings are. I mean, how much are we supposed to believe in Sam Darnold? But I'm gonna say that for real. I'll say that for real because of Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores, once again, is doing wonders with that defense. Remember, the defense lost to Neil Hunter in the offseason. They're still putting pressure on quarterbacks. They're still performing at a high level. I think as that defense continues to get better, which I think they actually can, I think that obviously puts less on Sam Darnold's plate. And I think it's a perfect offense for Sam Darnold. They don't necessarily overextend him too much where he can make some of the mistakes he made with the Jets or Carolina. I feel like they make it very easy for him. Doesn't hurt that you have Justin Jefferson out there that if you get into trouble, you can throw it up to him and he can go get it. So I'm going to say the Vikings are for real. I feel like the NFC North is going to get 3 teams into the playoffs. Obviously, I would think the Packers, Lions get in. I think the Vikings are a playoff team this year. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a good one. Oh, here we go. Jori is back. There we go. Yeah, I was just letting the chat just run teams out there and give them for real or fool's gold. Because you mentioned you kind of went through the Bills already. You did the Lions. John asked about the Vikings. I said the Vikings are for real. What do you think?
They look for real right now. I mean,
Okay.
look, the biggest question I have is going to be Sam Darnold. He's playing well right now. I will be frank. He's playing well right now. But I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up for the entire season. I do have questions about that. If he can keep this up for 4 more weeks, I'll know it's not a fluke. Just 4 more weeks, bro.
So you're like,
no, actually 3.
You're like for real
3.
with a question.
Week 8.
I said for real, and I said because of Flores. I think Flores with the defense will keep them as a for real team for me.
Miles ahead of where they were.
Yes, absolutely. John said Tampa Bay.
No.
Okay.
I understand Baker.
Mm-hmm.
But me understanding Baker is exactly why this team is fool's gold. Because Baker can win you a game, and Baker can lose you a game.
I think the Bucks are for real for that division. I unfortunately think Atlanta's going to keep them around all season because Atlanta's another team that can be
Boomer
real
bust.
good one week and then look like a complete mess the next week. So I think for the division, for real, grand scheme, they're just there. So I will say for real, because I do think Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I like the running backs that they have if they can be a little bit more consistent. I know that, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He had the fumble against Atlanta, which cost them. But I think the Bucks are okay. The Seahawks. This is an interesting one. First-year coach Mike McDonald. Got Geno Smith. I love their wide receivers. I think they may have the best wide receiver group in the league. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think defensively they are coming along. I like their running backs as well, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. I think they are fool's gold, but they're trending the right direction. As John said, Seahawks are fool's gold. I mean, do you think they're
Yeah.
fool's gold? Do you think they could be for real?
No.
Okay. I mean,
I'm so. But they're not
to
giving
the
me
part,
the red flag, the green flag that says legit, but they're not giving me the red flag that says full to gold either.
that's fair.
Because I
Yeah,
think they're a
I think it's
solid team.
right, because they're a team that will probably hang around the wild card most of the season, and if they miss by a game, you'll probably be like, they're on the right track. If they sneak in by a game, you're not going to think they're probably going to knock off any of the top seeds in the NFC.
But they
I,
could, and that's the thing.
yeah, yeah. If they get the right
They
team, why not? Okay.
and it's like they're known for doing that. They can walk into a game that we don't think they're gonna win, and here they come. That's why with Seattle, I'm like, I've never counted out Seattle because they play like that.
Mm-hmm. Sean has another one. Washington.
They haven't played anybody. They're fun to watch. They are very exciting to watch, the offense. The
Mm-hmm.
defense is frustrating to watch. As a defensive girl herself, very frustrating to watch. What is I Granted, they played a little better the last game.
Mm-hmm.
They made Arizona really work for it the last game. But I can't say they haven't played anybody. They
Mm-hmm.
played the Bengals. They won a. When was the last time we said that the Commanders or any team affiliated with Washington, D.C. won an NFL game, won a game against the Bengals where they had to play in a shootout? Because there was no defense being played in that game. None. On either side.
Just putting this up for John. You know, Anthony's a Commanders fan. He's calling you out.
I don't think they're fool's gold because I didn't think they were gonna do much to begin with, but they're fun to watch.
Okay.
You can't be fool's gold if I don't think you're gold. They got too
That's all.
many issues that need to be addressed.
So for me, Washington's an interesting study. I'm all in on Jaden Daniels. I have been since before the draft. So the fact that he's doing well, I love that about it. I love the fact that he's getting Terry McLaurin more involved because that guy is an underrated receiver for as good as he is. I love the story of Brian Robinson and him coming back and him playing. If Dan Quinn and his defensive guys can get that defense to be just middle of the pack, I think the offense with Cliff Kingsbury can carry them enough. I'm actually going to go for real because if you look at that division, Washington by a mile
It's
is
the
the
best
best
looking team right now.
performing team in that division. I don't have any faith in the Giants making some turnaround. Like you said, I'm not bought in on the Cowboys, and the Eagles have about another couple of weeks where if they continue to struggle, that bottom might fall out in that building completely. So I think there's a very good chance Washington steals a playoff spot from somebody. So I'm gonna go that they are for real. Especially Jaden Daniels, oddly enough, may get better as the season goes on.
He
Which
will. I'll just put it in the air. He will. Like
Yep.
I like Jaden Daniels more than I like Caleb Williams. And
Yes.
I didn't even think about the division because if I had a thought about the division, I probably would have went along with your line of thinking of saying that they were legit. Because that division is a little questionable. There's
Mm-hmm.
coaching questions everywhere in that division. The Falcons are not fool's gold, I don't think. The Falcons are exactly what I thought they were. Now, granted, Kirk has been playing pretty well. The defense, it leaves a little to be desired, but what we're starting to see from this Falcons team, excuse me for my words kind of running together, um, they're starting to put it together. They are winning games that if you watched Falcons football from like 2005 to 2016 and beyond, they don't win those games. They
Sure.
do not win those games. They're starting to win the games that they usually don't. And maybe that's how they're going to have to win this season by being gritty. But if Kirk Cousins plays like Kirk Cousins we've been seeing, the Falcons are legit. They're going to win that division.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it on paper, they have the most talented team. Their defense has been kind of slowly fixed over the past couple of years, and they are a legit defense right now. Raheem Morris, who we know is a defensive minded guy, I feel like he's just going to add to that. And yeah, obviously Kirk Cousins is not going to pass for 500 yards a game, but he just needs to, get Drake London involved. Look, it's been forever before the name Kyle Pitts and actual production of the field could be put in the same sentence, but we saw that against Tampa Bay. If that can continue, then they should be well off in this division. But like I said earlier, when we were talking about the Bucks, I got a feeling that they're gonna let the Bucks hang around,
Mm-hmm.
and then who knows? It's probably gonna come down to like week 16, 17, and ultimately week 18 with this division. So I do think they're for real. I'm also somebody who thinks kind of higher of Kirk Cousins than probably the average NFL fan does, but I'll say that they're for real.
You know who's fool's gold? The Saints.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talked about that because we both kind of feel like Derek Carr is keeping the seat warm for Spencer Rattler or whoever.
Once Carr, like he did in that Atlanta game. Oh, Falcons fans, stop fighting in the bins. Cut that crap out.
Hey
This is the
man,
second week in a row.
that's probably not going to stop. That is not going to stop.
No, because the fact that the NFL posted that video of Kadira Hodge with that fight in the background, that
Yeah,
lady was going stone cold Austin in the background. I wasn't
yeah,
paying any attention to Mr. Hodge. All I see is haymakers being thrown. Cut that crap out. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium is not for scrapping.
right. All right. I feel like that was a good first edition of For Real or Fool's Gold. Appreciate you all in the chat throwing teams out there. I feel like this is
Oh,
something we'll
before
probably.
we go,
Oh, good.
I
Yes,
did
yes. Go
want to
ahead.
mention the Texans have one more lackluster performance for me that I have to see before they get put in the fool's gold category. One more because they have not looked very impressive through the first 4 weeks.
That's a fair statement.
Kirk, you don't point. We're not pointing and doing that. Stop it. You got a good base, but don't point.
But this is who Kirk Cousins is. He's a very corny guy.
And I
I don't know.
love it.
I kind of appreciate it. Trust me, he's gonna do more. The more that they win, he will do. I don't know what else is next. I mean, the off season was what the shirtless with the chain that was in the off season. we already know about Washington. You like that. Like he's got Russell Wilson in him. Russell Wilson's also a corny guy, but I feel like Kirk Cousins doesn't have like the reported ego that Russell Wilson has with the whole "I
You
need a
sure
corner
don't.
office" and all stuff. Kirk Cousins is not anything like that.
You love Kirk Cousins' corniness. With Russ, it wears on you quick.
Right. Yeah. Like Russ's corniness is kind of backed up with an entitlement. Once again, reportedly, Kirk Cousins' corniness is just like he's just trying to fit in. Like that's all he's trying to do. Fit in with the city, fit in with teams. Like, yeah, I have no problem with it. John said, I think Green Bay is better than their record.
They are.
Yes. Yes, we are both very high on Green Bay.
That
But
defense is better than I expected. I will be a woman of my word and admit that on air. I was not expecting that from that defense. They got
I
it
mean,
from me.
they got Jeff Halfley from Boston College. I watched them for, I think he was there like 3, 4 seasons. And there was one thing that you knew about BC football defensively, they were going to bring it week in and week out. So I'm not too surprised by it. But for some coaches, making the jump from college to pros doesn't translate. So he's always had that ability, and I'm definitely happy for him.
And it feels really nice when your team is finally not winless. Like finally, y'all put it together. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all Nick Folk did was kick a whole bunch of field goals, but you put it together.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel's overrated, and if he keeps on with this, his butt gonna be warm in a year or two too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think the odd part is with Miami's season starting with the whole Tua talking about, oh, Mike McDaniel's all this, he's just such a great whatever. And now we're seeing him as the guy who can't come up with a game plan with a veteran quarterback in there because Tua's out, obviously. And that performance that they had against Tennessee kind of kind of damaged McDaniel's reputation as this offensive guru and genius.
Mind
Hopefully the
you,
struggles happen
because
again this week as they face my Patriots, but we'll see.
you're struggling to figure out your offense with a backup quarterback. Brian Callahan had to do that after the first quarter in the game, and it
It
looked
did it
efficient.
seamlessly. Yes.
Like overrated.
Fools go to sense thinking they will win their division.
Them delusional people, I'm surrounded by them. They think that every freaking year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who that? Da 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 da. See, y'all ain't been that since 2009. Cut it out.
Right. Hey, fans are gonna always think highly. All right. So we're heading into our picks. So this is the scoreboard. Now we have missed a couple of weeks, but currently Jory has a 1 game lead on me, as you are 15-15. I'm 14-16. So with that in mind, here are the games for week 5. We do have 4 teams on a bye. The Lions, your Titans, the Eagles, and the Chargers all have a bye this week. But we have plenty of good games left. So let me make sure I write these down. Because obviously I will put up a graphic. It might take me until tomorrow to put it up on the Integrity Sports Network page. Also in the description, our Tumblr page. I put these up on there as well. You'll get our picks, and we'll see. Can Jory extend her 1 game lead, or can I possibly catch up? So we're going to start right there at the top. Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. over in London. You have the Jets, the Vikings. We talked about the Vikings. Uh, we both think that they are playing well right now. This is now the Sam Darnold Bowl. Old team with the Jets. He was seeing ghosts. Now he looks like an MVP candidate with the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers' frustrations from last week. Are they any better this week? Who do you think wins Sunday morning? I think your audio went out.
Muted.
Oh,
I was muted. My bad. That game is going to be in the halftime by the time I wake up in the morning, but that's neither here or there. I have a funny feeling the Vikings are going to come up with. They're going to give Aaron Rodgers some trouble. Flores is probably going to blitz him. Probably going to scheme up something in that head to make Aaron Rodgers' job harder. Mind you, that offensive line is a little. It's still suspect. I got the Vikings.
I have the Vikings as well, and I agree. I think Flores will have a plan. Remember, Aaron Rodgers is not as mobile as he once was, so I feel like they're going to test that offensive line. They're going to test Aaron Rodgers' pocket mobility. I think Brian Flores will have a great showing. I think Sam Darnold and that offense will make plays against the Jets defense. So, yes, I agree. I'll take the Vikings as well. Next up, got the Panthers. Fell back down to earth after the win in Andy Dalton's first start. Lost last week. The Bears had a decent showing against I think with the Rams. Rams have their own issues. So looking at this one, who do you think wins it? Does Caleb Williams get another win, or does Andy Dalton get a second win as Panthers quarterback?
I think this is going to be a snooze fest, but I think the Panthers are going to find a way to win this game.
Okay.
I'm feeling a little sneaky.
Okay. I like that. I think I'm
Now,
gonna go Bears on this one. Anthony says doesn't trust the Bears, Caleb Williams. That you are valid to think that. I think last week with DeAndre Swift actually showing a pulse in this offense will help out the Bears this week. I feel like he's somebody that if they can get him going, that takes some pressure off of Caleb Williams. Hopefully, we never see another game where he has 50 plus dropbacks like he did 2 weeks ago. The weapons are there. Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet was coming on last season with Justin Fields. He's shown himself as a serviceable tight end. I would like to see Caleb Williams probably use him a little bit more. I'll take the Bears in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers win. I'll go Bears. All right, we got those Ravens heading to Cincinnati for their divisional rival in the Bengals. Bengals offense looks like it's kicking into high gear. Jamar Chase has said he's now having fun. He's over the BS from the offseason, the BS that I guess he somewhat created, but neither here nor there. T. Higgins is starting to perform a lot better. The Ravens are coming off of a pretty good win over the Bills. So who do you see winning this one?
a part of me wants to say, look, the part of me is gonna kill me to say, don't push my hand, little girl. A part of me decides
Resident.
wanted to say, a part of me, it's gonna kill me to say this, but a part of me was thinking the Ravens because of the running attack. But then I think about what they're facing on the other end because even though Cincy can't stop the run, they would have to win every game by have it being a shootout. So, if I'm gonna put Lamar Jackson against Joe Burrow in a shootout, I would pick the Bengals. But the Ravens could theoretically just run the crap out of the ball and keep Burrow on the sidelines, which I feel like is going to happen. So I'm going to do the unforgivable, and I'm going to pick the flightless fledglings.
Okay. So here is where I'm conflicted with this. I like the Bengals offense and what they're doing right now. I am worried that they will just run the ball. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson all day. control the clock, and everything like that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go against you on this one. I think the Bengals get it done. I
I
feel
hope
like
you're
the
right.
Bengals with their. Hmm?
I hope you're right.
I feel like the Bengals will have to obviously take advantage of whatever opportunities that they get because I do agree with you. The Ravens will run the air out of the ball and limit the possessions for Cincinnati. That's just going to put more pressure on them to score when they do get the ball. And because Chase and Higgins are really playing well right now, I'll go with the Bengals in a higher scoring game for sure.
And I hope that happens because I want to question outwardly to some of these little blind ass Ravens fans what the hell is going on with your secondary, man. And if Joe Burrow makes that team look silly, it'll give me the grounds that I need to sit there and poke at it.
I mean, there's a good
Because they don't
chance,
want to answer that question.
but there's a good chance Joe Burrow could have a big day in the passing game and they may still lose a close one. But I agree with you because part of the reason why I thought Buffalo was going to beat them was I thought that Josh Allen was going to exploit their limitations on the back end. He just couldn't. I know Anthony put in that Cincinnati is really missing Joe Mixon. I do agree with that. I mean, Mixon is, I think, hobbled right now in Houston, but I agree with that.
That's what they
He's
get
a
for
really
being
good running
cheap.
back. It's just that Cincinnati ownership made it known a couple of years ago they were going to fight to keep the wide receivers, which turned out to be that's kind of been a lie. And they had no problems letting Joe Mixon go. Next up, the Dolphins. We just talked about it's another Tyler Huntley game against the Patriots coming off of a loss to the 49ers. It looks like it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. Uh, but who do you have winning this one?
I'm picking the Patriots.
Okay.
I have no confidence in the Dolphins minus Tua. The fact that this team always falls apart like this when they don't have their
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, I've seen enough. Patriots.
All right. I agree. I got the Patriots. John says, give me the Pats with May time, second half comeback. I will say, I've run that scenario in my head as well. Jacoby Brissett starts, halftime, it's, like 6-0 or something. We know Patriots fans are probably boo. He comes out in the second half. They probably have like a 3-and-out. And Gerard Mayo turns to Drake May, puts him in, and Drake May flashes something and they get the win. I'm, I don't think that's crazy, John. I'm kind of just going to take the Patriots because I think the Dolphins are a mess. I think Tyreek Hill is on the verge of like an explosion on the sideline. It's just waiting to happen. And I think the Patriots defense will do well. Last time we saw Christian Gonzalez against the Dolphins offense, he picked off a pass that was meant for Tyreek Hill, and he's playing just as well this year. So I will take the Patriots as well. We got the Browns and the Commanders. We talked about the
Commanders.
Commanders. Yes, I agree with you. I got the Commanders as well. You give me Jaden Daniels or Watson, I will take
Weirdo.
Jaden Daniels every day. We got the Colts and the Jags. I mean, this is.
Tie.
I'm
I'm calling
assuming
for a tie.
I'm assuming Joe Flacco starts because I saw the report that Jonathan Taylor is out, and I think Richardson's questionable. If you saw last week, there should be no question. You should start Joe Flacco. And John finds it amusing. LOL tied.
Like, that's a snooze fest too, because like Colts defense is giving me the heebie jeebies. The Jaguars give me the heebie jeebies. Um,
Mm-hmm.
However, Colts have competent quarterback play now. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if Joe Flacco comes out in this game and starts making the offense look efficient. They're gonna have some questions to ask about Mr. Richardson. Answer.
Yep.
But I hope they throw him back out there though. But I'm gonna pick the Colts.
Okay. I got the Colts as well. I just think Joe Flacco, one, he can find Michael Pittman, even though Richardson for some reason couldn't. And I think that connection there is going to make it easier for the Colts to win this game against the Jags team that doesn't have really an identity on either side of the ball. Next up, Bills, Josh Allen's Bills go down to Houston to face CJ Stroud and the Texans. How do you see? Oh, this is the Stephon Diggs Bowl now. He's facing his former team.
One, I will say I am not impressed with anything that the Texans got going on. I'm not impressed. They're having offensive line issues,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if the Bills are going to be able to capitalize on that. Laramie Tunsil is not playing well right now. Because I can't really discount the fact that Texas could somewhat run the ball and Bills look like paper mache versus Derrick Henry.
True.
So I want to say the Texans, but I feel like the Bills are going to win this. I want to say the Bills, but I feel like the Texans are going to win this game somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I'm not impressed with them, by the way.
Yes, yeah. I completely understand that one.
And
I think for
if
the
Will
Bills,
Levis made better decisions, we'd have the same record.
yes. Yeah. That's a fair statement. Yeah. I think Shakir is out for the Bills. So that's one thing. Josh Allen did like finding him. That might mean Keon Coleman has a better day. We know Stephon Diggs is going to be up for this one. This is going to be a game that he wants to show out. CJ Stroud can obviously throw it. I'm kind of like you, where you said you like to think the Bills are going to win this one. I mean, you did go with the Texans. I think I'm going to go with the Bills. I'm going to say that the Bills find a way. I feel like this game could be high scoring of sorts, and we see Stroud and Allen go back and forth. I'm going to say big day from Keon Coleman. Give me the Bills. Actually, not Keon Coleman. Let's go with James Cook. Has a good day. I'll take the Bills. Next up, could be a snooze fest of sorts. Raiders and the Broncos.
That's a nap time game right there. That's what you put on to take a nap.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Raiders.
I mean, got the Raiders. Okay.
I don't like Sean Payton. So
Right.
I'm proud. It kills me to pick him. Pick any team that he coach. I do not do Sean Payton. He is a prick. He is a jerk. He is. I don't like him. We're gonna keep it at that.
I understand. I agree. It's going to be a tough watch. I'll take the Broncos, I guess, because of their defense. And John did bring up, I was just about to say, the Raiders still don't have Max Crosby, and Devante Adams is not going to play. He says the score is going to be like 13-10. I could see that as well. Like 16-13, something like that.
I see a 6-7 game.
I mean, it could very well be that as well. I mean, the Broncos did just win 10-9 over the Jets, so they're not against that. I'll just take the Broncos in this one. I think the Crosby injury would probably be more of a reason why I wouldn't pick the Raiders. All right, next up, we got the NFC West. The Cardinals trying to bounce back from their loss to the Commanders, and you got the 49ers who just beat the Patriots. Out in San Francisco, who do you have winning this one?
The 49ers. That was that Patriots game. Sorry, Kyle. That was the get right game.
No, I agree.
I know they don't have Christian
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey. And we need to start having some conversations about Christian McCaffrey. He has Achilles tendonitis in both of his Achilles
Mm-hmm.
tendons. That scares me because that's something that's going to repeatedly flare up.
Yeah.
But that being said, 49ers by 2 scores.
Yeah. John agrees. He has 49ers by 14. I'll take the 49ers as well. I think the Cardinals are okay. It seems like they're starting to slip a little. We'd like to see probably some more from Marvin Harrison as well. But the 49ers are the better team here. It's in San Francisco. I'll just take them. Next up, we got Packers and the Rams. Jordan Love at Stafford.
Packers.
Pretty good quarterback matchup. But you said you're taking the Packers?
Yeah, because the Rams can't stop a
Yes,
nosebleed.
that's my reason as well. Even though I think, like I said, I think Watson's out. Dobbs has a 1-game suspension. So the wide receiver group is going to be a little bare. But that could mean a big day for Dontavian Wicks
Run the ball.
or Tucker Kraft.
And run the ball.
With Josh
This is the perfect game.
Yes. So I would say, Josh Jacobs.
This is the game that they need to be running the ball.
Josh Jacobs, you play him on your fantasy team. If you have Wicks or Kraft, play them as well. Because we know Jordan Love's going to want to throw the ball. And Wicks has had some good days. John said Packers, but closer than people think. Sure. Yeah. Next up, Daniel Jones and the Giants face off against Geno Smith and the Seahawks up in Seattle with the 12th man. Who do you got in this one?
Seahawks.
I got the Seahawks as well. All right.
Dable, his butt gonna be on fire too, and it's not even gonna be his fault. It's because his organization decided to pay Daniel Jones.
I think there's a good chance he makes the switch to Drew Lock sooner rather than later, because, like you said, he's gonna be fighting for his job. Next up, Sunday night, Dak Prescott and America's team, the Cowboys. I mean, they still love saying that, even though they haven't been America's team in who knows how long.
Stop! I'm so sick and tired of the Dallas damn Cowboys on Sunday freaking night.
Well, I mean, this one
give other people a turn.
They get the whole, big fan bases, Cowboys and the Steelers. I think statistically are two of the bigger fan bases in the league. They face off. You get Mike Tomlin. So the Cowboys go into Pittsburgh to face Justin Fields and the Steelers, who are coming off their first loss. Cowboys are still trying to find themselves. Who do you have winning this one? John says give him the Steelers by over 10. Give him 2 interceptions from Dak.
Give me the Steelers, because I'm tired of looking at the Cowboys. They have done absolutely nothing. They keep putting them on Sunday Night Football like we want to see freaking Dak and CD arguing on the sidelines and Micah throwing a freaking tantrum all the freaking time.
Mike is out too.
That part. I'm tired of watching Dallas on Sunday night. I would rather watch the Vikings on Sunday night than the Cowboys. Give me the Falcons.
Some people appreciate the dysfunction. Some people, it brings them joy to see the Cowboys miserable.
I'm close to the saying, give me the Colts rather than the Cowboys. I'm about there. Because I'm tired of looking at the crying and Mike McCarthy looking at the camera with this little dumbass look on his freaking face. I am cowboyed out. I'm done. Give me the Steelers by 20 something points. I'm tired. I hope they get their butts kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Steelers as well. I just think the Steelers defense will frustrate the Cowboys offense. The Cowboys offense still can't run the ball. They still can't stop the run either. So maybe Najee Harris has a good day. We'll see. What's on? What's going on, Mo? Mo says the Steelers should beat the brakes off of the Cowboys. We would love to see
I
it.
hope it happens. They'll stop putting them on my freaking screen on prime time. I'm tired. Give somebody else a chance. And they
I
wonder
mean,
why a lot of people don't know what these other teams are doing because they're so busy forcing the Cowboys down our throats. We don't want to watch mediocre football every goddamn week at 8 o'clock.
Cowboys fans have been watching mediocre Cowboys football for I don't know 20 something years now.
I've been forced to watch it for 20 something years.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Last one we have Monday Night Football. Derek Carr and the Saints head to Arrowhead to face Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. Who wins this one?
Derek Carr is going to do something stupid, so I have the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. I have the Chiefs as well. I do want to see, I guess, the offense the week after Rice goes down. I feel like Worthy could have a big game in this one, but I agree. I'll take the Chiefs. It's in Arrowhead. I don't think the Saints are built for that. So there you go. Those are our picks. I guess just to run down them once again. Jori and I are both taking the Vikings over the Jets. Jori's got the Panthers over the Bears. I have the Bears over the Panthers. Jori has the Ravens over the Bengals. I've got the Bengals over the Ravens. We both have the Patriots beating the Dolphins. We both have the Commanders beating the Browns. We both have the Colts beating the Jags. You have the Texans beating the Bills. I have the Bills beating the Texans. You have the Raiders beating the Broncos. I have the Broncos beating the Raiders. We both have the Niners beating the Cardinals. We both have the Packers beating the Rams. We both have the Seahawks beating the Giants. We both have the Steelers beating the Cowboys. And we both have the Chiefs beating the Saints. So those are our week 5 picks. As I said earlier, I will get a graphic together and have our picks up on Integrity Sports Network some point tomorrow and on our Tumblr page. If you see in the description, check us out there where we have articles up and enjoy more content from Passion and Precision. Let's move on to our final segment of the night. This is a new one. So Jori went ahead and did her jacked up tiers, where she took all the teams, put them in tiers, and I will react to it, and Jori will explain some of these teams why they are where they are. And this is something that we'll probably visit on a weekly or maybe bi-weekly basis. Because I don't know, weekly might not be enough time for you maybe to shake things up, but we'll kind of see. We'll play by ear. So you have J Dub's Club, that's your VIP tier, looks like. You have your strong set. You have mediocrity, right? Fumbling and stumbling, and dungeon dwellers. I do see my team as a dungeon dweller. It's all good. Nah, I'm not hurt. No, I don't have any issues with that at all. Let's see which team is interesting here. The J Dubs Club. I might be interesting seeing the Lions
Vikings up there. Yeah,
but I kind of get it. I do think the
they
Lions
haven't lost a
are
game
really good.
yet. They haven't lost, so I'm like, as much as I want to question Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
they have. Am I living on a
Oh,
rock?
you said the Vikings are. I was talking about the Lions. Yeah, the Lions are 3-1.
I'm like, I know the Vikings were 4-0.
Yeah.
But I know that Detroit is legit. They just need to figure out some tackling on that defense. But Detroit is legit. San Francisco, however, would be in J-Dub's club.
Hmm.
if they didn't start off the way that they started off.
I got you.
Because I'm
Okay.
like, first of all, Minnesota had Purdy in hell,
Hmm. They did.
and they've looked gettable. They've made it look too comfortable. They've made not too comfortable. They made it look too close. So until once they hit their stride, even though I feel like the game versus the Patriots was the get right game, but once they hit their stride, they'll be back up at the top of J Dub's club where they belong.
Okay. I do see a team I'm going to ask you about. You have Washington in mediocrity.
Who? Washington is
Washington.
because of defense. If it was, if the defense wasn't so porous, they'd be higher than where they are. In all honesty, but I don't trust their secondary. Their
Hmm.
defensive line is struggling to get home consistently. They have some things to work on as far as being a strong tech because their defense is questionable. Now Dallas, really, they need to be right where the Eagles are. If we're being
Okay.
completely honest,
Yeah,
they need to be where the Eagles are.
I can agree with that. Yeah. Let me see. Well, actually, okay. So I guess if somebody weren't necessarily watching right now and just listening, so J Dub's club, Lions, Vikings, and the Chiefs. Like you explained, you like the Vikings and what they're doing right now. The Chiefs, obviously, as a champion, and the Lions, you just like their team makeup. That's why they're in the club. So Jory's strong set tier. You have the Falcons, the Bills, the Packers, the Ravens, the Seahawks, Steelers, Niners, and the Bucks. The Niners are there because you didn't like the start of their season. I'm looking at the rest of the teams in that group. I can't say I have an issue with any of them. I think it makes sense why they are a step down from the top three that you have. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me.
And then we
Then
have
in the mediocrity category, you have the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Chargers, the Texans, the Saints, and the Cardinals. I did question the Commanders, but I understand their defense doesn't give you any reason to think that they should be any better. I completely agree with that. I wasn't asked about the Chargers, but I feel like the Chargers have like there's things to like about the Chargers, but the Herbert injury, the offense at times can look a little iffy.
can Herbert stay healthy? Damn, like stay healthy, bro.
That's probably going to be a question for much of his career. I mean, the Texans, I understand why they're there. Saints, yeah. Cardinals, yeah. I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have anything glaring issues with
Other
that
than
one.
Dallas should be lower. That's the only glaring
Right.
thing that's wrong with that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the key is like that's the ceiling for the Cowboys right now as mediocrity, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So fumbling and stumbling, you have the Browns, Titans, Eagles, Colts, Dolphins, and the Jets. I feel like to some they may have a question about the Jets being there, but you know me, I'm all about the Jets being down and fumbling and stumbling. The Eagles,
Their
yes,
offense is a mess, and they have no leadership. They're led by a moody 40-year-old quarterback whose mood switches more than mine. And that is the fact that I can say that about a 40-year-old quarterback being as moody as me, knowing I have my own issues, that says a lot. They are a epic collapse away from dysfunction. Actually, they're not even that far away. They're a hair away from it. They are where they're supposed to be. Most
yeah,
people, you only give up 10 points, you win a game. The Jets, no. And if
yeah,
it's not one part of the team being dysfunctional, it's another part. It's
hmm,
like they keep putting band-aids over freaking big ass holes that it don't work. Their
yeah.
spot is cemented until they show me otherwise. The brown spot is cemented. And it's not just because of that weird homeboy that we're for.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper, what is wrong with you?
That
What is
I
going
was about to
on? Do
say.
you
I
not want to
went
play with,
from
if you don't want to be in Cleveland and you don't want to play with Watson, I get it. Be professional, bro. I don't know what's going on with Cooper and
yeah.
dropping stuff. But some of the stuff he's been dropping have been bad passes. I will cut him some slack with that. Um, that whole offense is a wreck. The defense is taking a step back, even though they're still good. It's not as I'm going to break my foot off in your butt as it was last year. Now, my Titans are literally a few Will Levis decisions away from being either one tier above or two tiers. Will, get your crap together. William Donovan, get it together. Then, it's painful to sit there and watch your quarterback become a meme. It
Mm-hmm.
is painful because every week he does something else dumb. Last week it was him crying on the freaking bench because he hurt his shoulder. Luckily he didn't hurt it as bad as we thought it was. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He probably needed that soft benching. Hey, get your together. I don't even think he was hurt for real. Callahan just got tired of watching him do dumb stuff and like let me sit you down right here. You're not playing for the rest of the game. Watch this. This is all I need you to do. And if he did that, and that's the reason why he did that, great.
Mm-hmm.
Cause sometimes Will makes me want to pop my phone against his head. Like, stop doing dumb stuff. Stop it. And he's one of those people where you can see it in his face. He finna say F it and do something stupid. You can
Mm-hmm.
see it. I'm like,
Yeah.
he is a few decisions away from having a 3-1 record. I say 3-1 because we could have won the Jets game. The one game I say we got embarrassed was the Packers game. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like that at all. Any other of these games would have been winnable had it not been a dumb decision by Will Levis. But he'll go through his growing pains. Until he goes through his growing pains, my team stays where it's at. The Eagles, they stay where they're at until leadership actually shows itself. Whoever leads the team, will they stand up and act like it? I mean, you got your quarterback and your head coach saying things and throwing jabs at each other like this is high school and we're not playing the NFL. Saying little subtle stuff. They're not getting along. Your secondary looks like it doesn't know each other. You can't stop the run consistently. You can't keep your high draft picks on the field because they're out of shape. I don't know what the coaching scheme is defensively. What is that? Um, yeah, Philly, they are where they are supposed to be. Dallas is supposed to be joining them. And the Colts, they have injuries on the defense. They didn't have pretty much. They don't have a good defense to begin with. If Joe Flacco starts winning some games, like I said earlier, we're gonna have some questions about Anthony Richardson. Even they're gonna have questions about Anthony Richardson. I already know what the hell Anthony Richardson was. There's a reason why he didn't play a lot in Florida. There's a reason. He does his issue. My issue with Richardson is he completes stuff that 90% of quarterbacks can't complete. But he can't complete the stuff that 90% of quarterbacks should be able to complete. So I don't know how backwards that is, if that makes sense, but that's the way I look at it. The things you expect for people not to do, he can do. The things you expect for him to be able to do as a regular prerequisite of being an NFL quarterback, he struggles with it. Like reading defenses.
Yeah.
So Colts, they could move as long as Flacco is the quarterback. But I hope Ursay just sees the bottom of the bottle again and put Anthony back out there. Do it. I love
I
it.
think they will. Whenever he's deemed healthy, I feel like because of the future of the franchise, they're gonna have to just play him to kind of see who he is. Joe Flacco is a stopgap, and I'm sure Joe Flacco understands that.
Oh, he do.
So yeah,
He loves it.
yeah. So there's no harm, no foul for him. So yeah, that tier, I can't argue with anybody. And then your dungeon dwellers, you have the Panthers, the Jags, the Giants, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bears, and the Rams. I mean, Rams are a beat up team. The Bears have consistency issues. The Patriots have offensive issues. The Broncos have issues on with game plan and offense because that game where Bo Nix dropped back way too many times still sticks in the back of my mind. The Giants have offensive issues. The Jags have issues just everywhere, and the Panthers have organizational issues. So I
Yeah.
completely understand every team that's in that tier. Makes perfect sense.
And if the Dolphins keep losing, the Dungeon Dwellers will have a new neighbor, the Miami Dolphins. A new
True.
occupant, not neighbor. A new occupant.
Yeah, I mean, yes, obviously the teams that are in that tier above them, they slip enough, they'll find themselves as dungeon dwellers. So this, like I said, this will be interesting to see how your tiers kind of shake up with every week or every 2 weeks. We might look at it. I don't know. We'll kind of figure that out. But yeah, so those of you watching, or if you watch it later, this is the first edition of Jori's Jacked Up Tiers, and I do think it's fitting to do it now. We've seen each team for about a month, so they're kind of showing their true colors, and that's why it made sense for your tiers. Um, so yeah, obviously, if you watch this after and you think a team should move, we'd love to hear from you and a reason why. You can put that down in the comments down below. I would be interested to hear some of you. Maybe you don't like where your team is. Give Jory a reason to move them. That will
That
be
don't
your
mean it's
challenge.
changing.
I
That does not mean
mean
it's
that's
changing.
true, right? But I'm just saying, like you can't just leave the comment like, "Oh, the Browns shouldn't be there." Yeah, want a reason behind it. Why do you think the Browns shouldn't be there, or whoever? So, um, yes, those are Jory's jacked up tiers. I think, like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it evolves. Okay, there you go. John said the Raiders need to drop.
They lose this game, they probably will.
There you go. So, John, you'll have to check out next week
And
or
any
2
Ravens
weeks to
fans who
find out.
have an issue with me not putting the Ravens in the Dub Club, you have to win more than 2 games to be a part of the Dub Club. You featherbrains. And considering the games that you lost, you didn't look good. Considering coaching and your secondary, the fact that you're in the strong set should be a blessing. And the only reason why they're up there is because what they did to Buffalo and what they did to Dallas. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. Because, yeah, I mean, look, John's saying the Raiders need to drop. Raiders went into Buffalo and beat Baltimore. That's reason enough for them not to be in the club. Um, so yeah, the next one we do, I will put this one up and then the new one up, and we'll compare. We'll see where the movement happened, and like I said, we will definitely keep up with this. This was a fun segment. I'm sure you enjoyed putting the tier list together,
Mhm.
so we will stick with it. But before we get out of here, I do have to remind you, mentioned it a couple of times. Passion and Precision have a blog. It is on Tumblr. It's in the description. If you are into articles and stuff from us, we have a few that are up there. We'll have some more. I will probably have one like after the Patriots game, giving my thoughts on it, as well as some other ones. So make sure you go over there, just follow us there, and react to our articles as well. Greatly appreciate it. But that's all I got. So I mean, Jory, if you have anything you want to add, feel free
Tune in,
to.
Jori, for stories next week. I will have my analysis for all 32 for the first month of the season. Because I feel like that, for me, that format is going to be a lot better than trying to do it weekly.
Yeah.
Because, and the world is going to hell. I can't breathe. It smells like burning chlorine water outside. My chest hurt. It, look, y'all will have a video next week. Yeah. And tighten up. That's it.
Okay. There you go. I mean, for me, you can catch me on some other shows here on Integrity Sports Network, but also on my channel, Chomping at the Bit. So, look, you guys can go ahead and uh, follow Jory Sports Stories. So that way you can get videos from her. You can find me chomping at the bit. Like I said, I will probably have a video after the Patriots game against the Dolphins, giving my thoughts on it. And throughout the week, I'll kind of sprinkle in some other ones about, I don't know, maybe some NBA preseason stuff. So definitely check me out there as well. So there you go. That's another edition of the Passion and Precision podcast in the books. Definitely appreciate you all that were in the chat. Hopefully you guys come back next week. We love the interaction with you all. We will be back with more NFL talk. We'll have some more NBA talk as well. I don't know. We might get into some season predictions next week. I don't know. We'll kind of see, but we will talk NBA as the season quickly approaches, which I am excited for. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out on the show during the year. So you guys can go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Saturday night and the weekend. Make sure you check out the NFL games. We will be back here next week, Friday, most likely at 8. If not, you can look for
Alabama made me mad.
Yeah, I saw that. Look, they
I don't want to talk about it.
it was a trap game. That trap game. That's all you gotta say. The Georgia game had them up here. Who's taking Vanderbilt seriously? I think they'll be all right. Yeah. Oh, she might have got kicked again. But we're gonna get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.